In life, many of us often feel like we are drifting through the ocean without a map. We have big dreams, we have goals, and we have a deep desire to be successful. Yet we find ourselves stuck in the same place day after day. We often believe that the missing piece is talent, or perhaps a stroke of luck that hasn't arrived yet. But there is a quiet, steady force that many of us overlook, a force that doesn't scream for attention, but quietly builds empires. It is a bridge between who you are today and who you want to become tomorrow. If you can learn to master this one thing, the world will eventually open its doors to you, not because you are lucky, but because you have become someone who cannot be ignored. There was once a young student named Kale who lived in a small, quiet village. Kale was a bright boy with a kind heart, but he had one major weakness that followed him like a shadow. He was a slave to his moods. If he felt inspired, he would study for hours, but if he felt tired or bored, he would let his books gather dust for weeks. Kale wanted to become a master gardener, a prestigious role in his village that required years of careful study and practice. He loved the idea of beautiful flowers and tall trees, but he hated the daily, repetitive work of watering, weeding, and preparing the soil. He lived his life waiting for the perfect moment to work, not realizing that the perfect moment is a myth that keeps us from our destiny. Kale's daily life was a roller coaster of emotions. On Monday, he would wake up early, full of hope, and clear a small patch of land. He would tell his friends about the magnificent garden he was going to create. But by Tuesday, the sun would be too hot, or he would feel a little sleepy, and he would tell himself that he would work twice as hard on Wednesday. Of course, Wednesday would bring a new distraction, and soon his patch of land would be overtaken by weeds. He felt a deep sense of shame every time he looked at his messy garden, but he didn't know how to stop the cycle. He felt confused and frustrated, wondering why some people seemed to achieve so much while he was always left behind. One day, the village elder, a wise man named Master Thorn, announced that he would select one apprentice to help him tend to the great garden of the valley. This was the highest honor a young person could receive. To test the candidates, Master Thorn gave each student a single rare seed and a small clay pot. He told them that in 3 months, whoever showed them the most growth would be chosen. Kale was overjoyed. This was his chance. He took the seed home, planted it carefully, and for the first week he was the most diligent student in the village. He watered it at the exact same time every morning and sat by it, whispering words of encouragement. However, after 2 weeks, the excitement began to fade. The seed showed no sign of sprouting. Kale's old habits started to creep back in. He began to feel that the task was boring. One morning he decided to sleep in. The next day he forgot to water it. He started to fear that the seed was broken or that Master Thorn had given him a bad one. He looked at the other students who were constantly talking about their progress, and he felt weak and inadequate. He felt like a failure before the race was even over. The tension in his heart grew as the deadline approached. He began to resent the little pot of dirt, seeing it as a symbol of his own inability to stay consistent. With only a week left, Kale's pot was still empty. In a moment of desperation and fear, he did something he wasn't proud of. He went to the forest, found a common but beautiful wildflower, and transplanted it into his pot. He told himself that he just needed to look successful for one day. When the day of the evaluation arrived, all the students gathered in the village square. Some had tall green plants, others had small sprouts. Kale stood there with his beautiful wildflower, his heart racing with guilt. Master Thorn walked slowly through the rows of students, his face unreadable. When he reached Kale, he looked at the flower, then looked deep into Kale's eyes. Kale looked down, unable to meet the master's gaze. Master Thorn then made a shocking announcement. He chose Kale to be his apprentice. The other students gasped in anger and confusion. One student shouted, "How can you choose him? Look at his flower. It's a common weed from the forest, and some of us have grown rare herbs." Master Thorn raised his hand for silence. He revealed a simple, unexpected twist. He had boiled every single seed before giving them to the students. It was impossible for any of the seeds to grow. Master Thorn explained that he had watched Kale from afar. He saw Kale struggle, he saw him fail, and he saw him finally try to cheat because he was so desperate for success. But why did he choose
Kale? Master Thorn said, "Kale, I chose you because you are the only one who looks ashamed. You realized that your lack of discipline led you to a place of dishonesty. The others brought me beautiful plants they had bought or swapped, pretending they had grown the boiled seeds. You are the only one whose heart is broken by your own inconsistency. He told Kale that discipline is not about being perfect every day. It is about the honesty to show up even when it's hard, and the courage to start again when you fail. He told Kale that a garden does not grow because the sun shines. It grows because the gardener shows up even when it rains. This lesson changed Kale's life forever. He realized that discipline is simply an act of self-love. It is promising yourself a better future and keeping that promise every single day, regardless of how you feel. In real life, we are often like Kale. We want the result without the process. We want the flower without the daily watering. But the truth is, the process is what makes the result valuable. When you choose discipline over your temporary feelings, you are telling yourself that your dreams are worth more than your comfort. You learn that success is not a giant leap, but a series of small, disciplined steps taken one after the other. As you go about your week, remember that you don't need to be the most talented person in the room. You just need to be the most consistent. Small habits, repeated daily, lead to massive changes over time. Don't wait for motivation to find you. Create your own momentum through action. If you found this story helpful, please give it a like and share it with someone who might be struggling to stay on track. We would love to hear from you in the comments. What is one small habit you are going to commit to starting today? Thank you for being part of our journey. And remember, the person you want to become is built in the moments when you don't feel like doing the work.